I'm a manager at the European Cybersecurity Organization, and I'm very happy to be here today, and also as a last speaker, because I had the opportunity to listen also the previous speaker, and I'm completely in line, and so with the track of the session. Perfect. So my speech will be split in two parts. The first one is about more the organization, and the second one more related to the activities running related to the access to market, access to finance for the SMEs and local companies. So I was very honored to be here in Riga because it was also the opportunity from Brussels-based expert and manager on political affairs and public policy to understand the market here in Baltics and to bring also some of the knowledge that you have here to the in the European framework. So. The context, we made an analysis based on open source data, mainly the market studies and also some consulting studies. And what we found it is for the 2017-2018, the European market is about 25 billion of euro. That consists on one good part of the global market. But there are some important bottlenecks, again, for the scaling up of the European solution to be global, at the European first and then at the global level. And one of the main bottlenecks are the visibility of the local, the European solution available on the market, and the difficulty to speak a dialogue with the investors because we don't have the critical mass comparing to the American market or even to the Asian market. So. What the industry is looking for is looking to improve the competitiveness at the global level, to be rapid in the reaction capabilities in face of cyber attacks. We know very well from all the speeches that we had today about the threats, about the management of the risk, the importance to build not only protecting capabilities, but also respond and answering capabilities. And then what is really important is to build the ecosystem in the global context. This is the evolution of the European political agenda since 2011. There are other actions previous to 2011, of course, but we mention only this date because at that moment, at the political level, there was some awareness about the importance to work on the cybersecurity. So we started in 2011 and we arrived only in 2016 at the signature of the contractual public partnership with the European Commission. So what does it mean? The contractual public partnership is a legal agreement between, from one part, the public side, which consists in the European Commission, and in particular DG Connect, and the other side, the private sector dealing with the European Commission. Now the deal, so the contract, is more about the research and the development. So the aim is to improve the capabilities of Europe and the European ecosystem to deliver innovative solutions in terms of R&D. For that reason, the European Commission has put on the table 450 million for 4 years, so until 2020. Now, based on the recent dialogue with the European Commission, we notice also that this money is much higher, so we expect it to improve also the global envelope of the investment on cybersecurity. And to be back to the deal, so for one side, the Commission is putting 450 million. On the other side, the private sector is committing to invest 3 times, so to leverage on the public money, 3 times the public investment. So the aim is to arrive in 2020 and demonstrate that the community is investing around 2 billion euro in cybersecurity. Then EXO so is the association dealing and bringing together all the partners to cooperate with the European Commission on such program, but there is one specific specification of the organization, that we are not only representing the private sector, so the industry, but we are representing the ecosystem at larger. So what does it mean? We have in our governance, but as well also at the working level, the presence of the national public administration. That means that among the experts participating to the working groups and even at the board of directors, we can find a representative for the national public administration dealing with cybersecurity, because we know very well cybersecurity is still a security issue, and when it's a security, we need to find compromise dealing with the national sovereignty. So in EXO, we have the opportunity, the member have the opportunity to first dialogue, certain dialogue with the public administration, to know what is the specification already at the national level, and then working also to leverage this discussion, this expertise at the European level. So EXO already inside is another public partnership. Now, okay, beyond 2018, now there is a discussion, as mentioned by Hua before, about the current proposal about the new competence center starting from 2018 based on some pilot, and then with the new framework of the network of a national competence center, with the one organization at the European level investing in R&D, but also bringing the capabilities to the market. Here you have a global picture concerning the membership of EXO. We are around 250 organizations coming from 28 countries. So we represent very well all the European Union, with also members from the Baltics. And as you see, we have large companies, public administration, as well regions. And I will back on this issue in very few minutes. Of course, one big part consists of the RTO, because we are dealing on research and innovation, but the beauty of the association is really to have all the players representing and covering all the value chain of the cybersecurity. Here, the structure, so the 6 working group of EXO. So the core business is the working group 6, so the strategic research and innovation agenda. I see the core business because the association and the partnership was built on the dialogue with the European Commission on research and innovation. Then you have 5 other working groups working on what we call the industrial policy. So from one side, you have the research and innovation. Then, in the same times, we have 5 other working groups running activity more related to the industrial policy. So how to bring the technologies, the innovation to the market, starting from the certification, very hot topic in this moment. So how to build a European framework of certification for product and services and process. And then you have the working group 2 dealing with the private investment, international collaboration and the market analysis. Then the application with the working group 3, the application of cybersecurity about the specification of each verticals, starting from the industry 4.0 to telecoms, e-governments, transport. And then you have also the support to SMEs and regions, and all the working group dealing with the important topic of education, training, risk assessment, as mentioned before also by my colleague from Estonia. The other side. One focus on the activities really related to how the community is working to improve the visibility, the attractiveness of the investor in this market, and to provide clarity about the existing solution available on the market. So, two main achievements for the last year, and also running currently for the next year. We have developed a market radar, so I have here a brochure that is available for you. Then here the aim is to provide to all the stakeholders one common understanding of what is the real European market. So we have many European studies available on the open data or from consulting. The ambition of the EXO is to provide one transparent and quite independent view about the market, thanks to the network of our members, but also building on the community and on the support of local authorities, on regions. And so the aim is to, based on the very market-driven taxonomy, based on 5 levels, so identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, that there are the basically NIST, the first level of the NIST framework. Then going in deep in the different sub-segments of the market in order to see what are the companies, what are the solutions available without any indication of the quality. These are not on our aim. And then to see also the figures related to the revenues, to the investment on R&D, and the number of the employees. So we just released today the first draft. The aim is to keep running the exercise in the coming weeks, to update every 30 contribution on the LinkedIn and Twitter and on our website, and then to have once per year our market analysis, to deliver the radar to the community, and then to provide also some specific insight concerning the different segments. The first one will be on the detection, so on what is the market on the detection segment, and just to have the link to what was mentioned before with the risk management, the aim it is also to bring, to reduce the gap between the vendor side, so the technologies and the product, software, hardware, and services, to the risk management. So who within the companies is dealing with the management of the risk, with the transfer of the risk to the insurance. So the aim is really to have a global picture for the decision point of view, to cover all the chain of the risk management, from the understanding of the risk to the externalization of the solution to the market. Then we are working also in investment, so the private investors. We found that the market in Europe is still beyond the importance of the private investor in the European comparing to the Americans. And here we are working to build a community with private investors. Doesn't mean VC, venture capitalists, banks, insurance, and the aim is to understand what kind of business model we could work together. And for doing that, we organize several events in Europe. The next one will be in Berlin. I will talk about in a few minutes. And the aim is to, in the long term, in the medium long term, is to build a permanent selection committee where investor can in permanent way to deal with the locals, association and regions, to find, to screen the local ecosystem and find the most innovative so this is the next event in Berlin, so on the 28th. We start in Tallinn in 2017, then we keep the track on also in Paris and in Milan, and we notice that there are a lot of attention for the investors to this market, but unfortunately not only the investors are a specific expert on cybersecurity and don't understand this specific market. And for this reason, EXO has the ambition to be the filter or to be the bridge between the two different companies, the two different players. So vendors from one side, and investors from the others. So we are going to be in Berlin in November, and then we are already around 40 companies registered for this event. We need to go to run the selection, and the aim is to in 2019 to set up an event at the European level with the help of the Commission, and to show the added value to be local and European at the same time. Sorry. So the other initiative is the creation of the SME Hub. Is another initiative dedicated to the SME, so very specific target. Here, the aim is to provide the catalog linked to the radar, the catalog of the different all the SMEs based in Europe with the R&D in Europe, and then to provide also the European label. So the agreement among the most important associations on the national and the local level to have some basic criteria to see, to have a European label, to see this company provide solution made in Europe. So as we have labels for quality labels for the food, so typical product that there are only in Riga, or for the wine, the cheese, we'd like to do the same labels also for the cybersecurity solution, but without going to in the qualification of product and services. Then the last functionalities of the SME Hub is the quadrant. So here the aim is really to not to compete with the Gartner quadrant, but more to provide in a transparent way the qualification of the company based on common agreed criteria, the quality of solution, the ability to deliver and execute the project, and this project is still running, but we expect to have a final proposal for the beginning of next year. Last project that I would like to share with you is the Cyber Valleys. Again, based on the analysis of the market, we noticed that in Europe we have several hotspots of cybersecurity. We know that we don't need to go absolutely to the Silicon Valley, to Israel, to find a good solution. The problem that our valleys, as I mentioned, the cyber valleys, they are still missing this critical mass and also this visibility to reach the investment needed to scale up. And for doing that, so we are working now with the 5 regions. We have 2 projects. The first one is the Cyber Valley, so we are working with 5 regions. The aim here is quite simple, if you can say. There are 3 main work packages. The first one is working on the mapping. So what is the mapping at the local level? And then the second is the most important, is to set a network of resellers that they are able to bring local companies from the small regions in France, in Italy, in other countries to another regions, and sharing some costs, because also reseller distribution is quite important cost. So to share some costs to develop the sales and the business development approach to other regions to reach the European market. Then to end, so I would just to mention this event in Rennes at the end of the November again, where we would like to discuss the role of the regions in Europe, and where we are bringing around 20 regions from Europe. So the aim is really to understand how the different regions and the local ecosystem can work together, can share some cost for the market, and bringing also to consolidate the market in terms of offering. So for my side, this everything. Thank you for listening. Open to question.
How you see the digital wallet in Baltic region?
Sorry, how?
How you see the digital wallet in Baltic region?
Digital wallet?
Yes, it was on your
The digital valley? So
digital wallet, yeah.
yeah, how I see in the regions?
In Baltic region.
In Baltics region, sorry, yes. So I see very well because we are working also with the FISC, the Nordic Cybersecurity Cluster, and the aim is really to build up this multi-scale approach, so to be local, so also one city or the one regions, then working with multiple small regions like the Baltics area, because they are sharing some value in terms of culture, but also what is really important is the proximity with the end users. So they are sharing some infrastructure in terms of end user. So when it's smarter to respond to some attacks, maybe they can share some costs. Here the idea is how to build some local apps, also in terms of response to cyber attacks. So a few days ago, we had the news about the IBM was going with the bus, the SOC going in to be closer to the end user. The aim is also to understand how we can build in Europe some different hotspot, so some local solution to be closer to the local end users. And I see the Baltics very rich in terms of offering, and also in terms of culture. With this conference is the best example to see how Riga and the Baltics is a very important place also to develop the next steps and also the interregional cooperation.